Hi, welcome to episode 3 of Booze and Art. With the time change, I know it's a little crazy, but at least we have some gorgeous daylight as the sun is going down, so that's fantastic. So today's going to be a quick one, and I'm going to talk about a gin I really like, and I'm going to talk about this painting. So let's just jump in, shall we? And Sam is going to sing along the whole time. So today I'm going to talk about Gin Mare. Gin Mare. It's really delicious. On it says distilled from olives, thyme, rosemary, and basil. So Gin Mare is pretty cool. It's actually it's distilled in a little town called Vilanova, Spain. Right next to Barcelona. It's a little coastal fishing village, and they actually put a pot still into their into a chapel that used to be used by monks on retreat. So now it has this like gorgeous pot still in it, and that's where they actually make the gin. It is made by two brothers who are sons of kind of the gin king of Spain, if you can call him that. And they use, let me get this right, it's Alberquina olives. They're really flavorful small olives, but you don't really use them in a lot of things, but it was exactly the flavor profile that they were looking for. So they use olives, they use citrus, rosemary, thyme, basil, juniper, of course, coriander, cardamom. The juniper berries are grown on the family's property, so they have a unique quality, and the skins are much softer than normal, so that's kind of cool. And the citrus, they get really sweet oranges from Seville, bitter oranges from Valencia, and then lemons from a place called Lleida. And they macerate the citrus for a whole year, which I thought was really intense. So macerate just means soak in alcohol, so the flavors and color can be soaked out of the fruit and impart themselves into the alcohol. So awesome. So for a whole year. And then they macerate all of the other botanicals individually as well, in only for about 36 hours, it says. And then they distill everything individually. So when you distill something individually like that, it's called a combination gin. So Hendrick's is a combination gin. So you kind of get, it's like a recipe. So you get all your botanicals separately, and then you combine them together in a recipe, and it's Gin Mare. So they were going for a Mediterranean flavor, and I think they achieved it. So I am enjoying Gin Mare in a just simple gin martini, no vermouth, just cold gin with a lemon twist. And I stirred it. And on the nose, well, because I put a citrus in there, but normally on the nose you really actually get like a lot of the botanicals. So you actually can smell the rosemary and the thyme and the basil. It has a much more kind of like herbaceous and earthy smell than a lot of gins that you're used to getting kind of a citrus or a floral bomb like right up front, which is super interesting. The flavor profile, like you can taste the olives. It kind of tastes like a martini in a glass, like a little bit of a dirty martini glass. Like there's something really salty about it. And if you're just joining, again, I am talking about Gin Mare for the moment. There's like an interesting saltiness from all of that, and the gin and the botanicals makes for a super interesting, really full-bodied gin that I think is super easy to drink. So cheers. I'm gonna take a sip. Yeah, and just even like I said, this is just cold gin with a lemon twist in it, but it tastes like I have olive juice in there. So there's something really cool that happens, and something I find very unique for the gin world. So cheers. So moving on, we're going to quickly discuss. We'll bring her a little bit more into the frame. Aha. So this painting is called My Little Naga, and I will, here, let me turn everybody, or let's do this. Okay, so close up of My Little Naga. There's the Pikachu floating in the back. There she is in all of her glory. And her amazing cosmic snake body. Woo! Right. So Nagas are They're Hindu deities. Basically, they're snake gods, which is awesome, and they're giant cosmic snake gods. So snakes are really interesting to me. I personally really happen to like snakes a lot. And not that I would ever own one as a pet. That seems like the worst idea in the whole world, to own one as a pet. Like, some things are just not pets, you know, like snakes are not pets. I mean, it's totally cool if people like belly dance with snakes, and I have major respect for that, but like personally I can't. Anyway, I love petting them and like having other people have them as pets, but anyway, so sorry. But I couldn't possibly have one because it would probably try to eat Victoria, because I would have like a giant Amazon serpent. Anyway, I digress. Snakes are awesome. They are traditionally always used as like mother goddess symbols, because they shed their skin. So they have kind of this like eternal return where they like never die. And eternal return, of course, is just this kind of cycle of waxing and waning, just like the moon. So snakes, because they shed their skin and kind of like are born again, they you know, kind of die and are reborn in this way that's very cosmic and spiritual for pretty much like every culture out there in the whole planet has at some point in their history worshipped some sort of snake deity in its pantheon. It's super interesting. Or has held that animal in high regard. So Nagas are Hindu snake deities. So hence my Little Naga. And of course this is Princess Celestia. Princess Celestia is the kind of like, she's the ruler of Equestria in My Little Pony's Friendship is Magic, which is the most recent My Little Pony kind of enterprise. Not the Equestria girls, because it's still, I haven't quite warmed up to the fact that they look like children, or like high school, middle school girls, but they're like ponies. It's very confusing to me. But I don't, so I haven't gone there yet. But in Friendship is Magic, Princess Celestia is kind of the queen bee. She is teaching, she's a role of a teacher for Twilight Sparkle, who is her student and is learning all about friendship. And so they all have to kind of like report back to her about what they learned each episode about friendship. And Spike, the little dragon, is the one that brings, he burps messages back and forth to them. So it's really interesting kind of in a cosmic way that the like little, because dragons are super interesting. They are kind of snakes, really, but they're also representative of the mother complex, which is kind of that thing in all of us that like wants to hold us back, that never wants to let us grow up, that like, you know, when you're having a bad day, you just kind of want to curl up in a ball and kind of like crawl back into the womb. Like, that's the mother complex. So everybody has to kind of get beyond their mother complex in order to like grow up, essentially. So all of that stuff about knights killing dragons, that's really like your unconscious, like killing your mother complex so you can become an adult. Anyway. So, Princess Celestia is kind of a teacher. She's a wise woman. She's the leader of the Equestria tribe. So as Princess Celestia, as kind of a cosmic snake deity, you know, just kind of the eternalness of this idea, the eternalness of the rebirth, the death and the rebirth, the eternalness of femininity as that kind of harbinger of death and rebirth, because goddess iconography kind of always comes in, well, three kind of 3.5, 4 forms. It's the like the baby, the warrior goddess, you know, like birth, essentially, warrior goddess, kind of the powerful, like think of an Amazon woman, and crone is the old woman and death. And then there's kind of that other like shadow aspect to the warrior goddess, which is essentially like Kali. So it's not only like fighting what's right, it's also destroying everything in its path. So that's a really interesting kind of combination. So that is the death and rebirth cycle right there in the actual iconography of what goddesses are represented like all over the world and throughout time. So yeah, so Princess Celestia as leader of the Equestria tribe as cosmic snake goddess of the eternal return, floating in kind of an interdimensional space where rainbow bubbles are a thing, and they're not balloons, they're bubbles, they're drippy, watery rainbow bubbles. And then Pikachu is floating around up there, partly because I started painting this right when Pokemon came out, and like Pikachus are kind of the thing that, you know, it's like you seek for this item and or you seek for knowledge and it's just always out of your reach. It's like, you know, it's there but you just can't get at it, and because so it's kind of the tragedy of the seeker, you know. Because, you know, we're all seekers of knowledge and wisdom in this life, and to kind of have the, you know, it's like the white whale in a way. It's like the thing that got away. It's the Pikachu is kind of like synonymous with all of these like concepts, to me. Anyway, so in the kind of the Princess Celestia teacher, in the leader, in the wise woman, in the eternal snake goddess of death and rebirth, there is still something that we cannot know. There's always something we're looking for. There's always more knowledge. So that's what that painting's about. Yeah. You just thought it was a unicorn with boobs and a snake, right? So I just stylistically, this painting was a lot of fun to me to do, because I'm really into Americana tattoo art, and it's one of the styles that I reference and look at a lot, even if it's not like super obvious. In my work, I look at tattoo art all the time and I draw it, and I'm just obsessed with it. So this one I decided to literally just mimic a kind of very traditional tattoo Americana style snake. And so her scales, everything is like that. And those of you who watch Friendship is Magic will recognize that the sun is Princess Celestia's cutie mark. Yeah. I know, I was pretty impressed with myself when I came up with that. Okay. So yeah, recap quickly. Drinking Gin Mare, beautiful, lovely, delicious combination gin from Spain. Highly recommended. All by itself, which is what I'm having now. It's just cold, tastes kind of like a dirty martini, because it's distilled from olives and rosemary and thyme. Super delicious. And then Princess Celestia as cosmic teacher, mother goddess, harbinger of death and rebirth, but yet with Pikachu floating in the background shows us that we will just never, there will always be things that are unknown and unattainable, and that's kind of the beauty of life, right? You can't ever get all of it, and that's why we keep looking. And on that note, I will see everybody next Sunday. The time might be a little different because I have to work, so it might be like 7:30, but I'll check in on that, and I will post it on Friday as to when I'm going to be doing it. But thank you everybody who joined, and cheers. Happy Sunday.